And as you have already know that environment is most fundamental to the growth of the man, and it affects all our activities, day-to-day activities, and understanding of many other concepts around us. Then what is the relation then between chemistry and environment? I must say, because when we started chemistry and environment, there was things that they are chemicals, the chemical reactions. There will be acids, there will be explosions, there will be fires, burns, things like that. So what is chemistry related to environment? That was a vital question. So we started doing that, and but now we need to realize that chemistry is the actually the vital part of our system, our body, our air, water, whatever we take since morning when we get up, toothpaste, lotions, soap, everything is chemical, clothes, vehicles, everything is made of chemicals. So we are totally, and food we eat is chemical, water is chemical, and then body does chemical reactions to produce energy for the body. Food reacts inside the body, and we get, so chemistry is so vital. And then on the other hand, production of materials or processes cause pollution. It is also chemistry which is causing pollution. All the pollutions which we have around us, like air pollution we talk about, and then this climate change, ozone depletion, everything is connected to chemistry. So how then, what is the role of chemistry in environment? Is it only the pollution? No, it is also the control of pollution. Chemistry finds the solutions. So it is intimately connected to environment. And moreover, when we talk of chemistry, to find the solutions, we have to see, which is basically turning the natural chemicals into new products, and then new materials get discovered, then we feel very good, and new elements are there. You will find periodic table how the elements have come one after another. So this is a very interesting journey of chemistry in science, which has brought us to this stage today where we are. And now I'm going to talk about today the relationship, and also tell you about something, because we are in the era of global warming. Global warming is concerning all of us. And what is the global cooling price about? Have you heard of it before? So that also I'm going to tell a little bit. And this is what I'm going to talk about. So basically, chemistry is life. We come across various chemicals, tools, and they should be viewed as, chemistry should be viewed as a scientific instrument which can harness natural resources into new products to enhance our living conditions. And that already I have talked about, that they are the cause of the pollution. They are also the solutions of they can also, knowledge about chemistry can tell us how to correct these pollutions. Okay, so today, now I am going to talk about one particular chemical, which is chlorofluorocarbon, known as chlorofluorocarbon. Now this particular chlorofluorocarbon is made of chlorine, as it is said, chloro, fluorine and carbon. So these are the three important ingredients. When this chemical was discovered in 1930s, it was quite an excitement. It is a synthetic material, non-toxic, non-reactive, and a very stable material which stays in the atmosphere because it doesn't react. You see, chemistry always looks for elements which are reactive, because then only you can make new products. Chemistry doesn't like the inert products. Inert products don't react. So it was a chemical which was discovered, and it was good for refrigeration. So we required refrigeration for everything in our homes, industries, for many developments, in the cars, in the commercial outputs. Refrigeration is vital, so its use grew like anything. It was a excitement because there was no chemical reaction and stable material. Now, what has happened actually? It happened that it remained in the atmosphere for a long time. It did not react because it was not reacting. And when it is in the atmosphere, it goes up and up in the atmosphere. Now, if you see, our atmosphere normally extend up to 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers, get rarefied as you go up. So at the height of 25 kilometer, which is above the troposphere. Troposphere is the region which is most suited for the living conditions. I mean, has the highest density up to, and at the top of troposphere, the density, air density becomes very low. So at 25 kilometer above the troposphere, that is in the stratosphere, where the rare atmosphere is there, there is a layer of ozone. Ozone is a molecule like oxygen. It has 3 atoms of oxygen instead of 2. Oxygen has 2 atoms, and which is a vital part of water. We all know H2O. So ozone has 3 oxygen. So at 25 kilometer height, it is just 2 to 3 millimeter of ozone layer in the atmosphere. Imagine around us a small, very thin blanket. Now this thin blanket does not allow harmful UV radiation, ultraviolet radiation, because solar spectrum is very vast. We only get a part of it as a visible light, but there are other infrared, ultraviolet and radio. I mean, so many waves are there. So the harmful ultraviolet radiation are filtered by this ozone. So they don't reach Earth. It saves, it protects Earth in a way. Now what has happened, that CFC molecule, which went to the greater heights because it was non-reactive, it broke the ozone molecule. So it reacted with the ozone molecules. In this picture, you can see the troposphere, ozone layer, and the radiation which is coming, and CFC, I mean whatever are there on the Earth's surface. And on the right hand side is shown as a picture of ozone hole which was taken by the satellite, so as it was captured. Okay, so this is the process basically is happening is that chlorine is comes out of CFC because of the ozone molecule, and that reacts and makes chlorine monoxide. First CFC breaks, and then chlorine from CFC reacts with ozone again and makes this. These are the equations which you are going to learn for both the 2 days, all the 2 days. And so chlorine oxide is formed and oxygen is formed. And from the chlorine oxide, again oxygen atom combines and chlorine is freed. So again we get a chlorine molecule. So every, like a nuclear reaction, it is a chain reaction which produces chlorine every time, which reacts with ozone molecule and makes it into oxygen. Now oxygen is a common content of the atmosphere, but it doesn't protect UV radiation, Earth from UV radiation. So the region which is depleted of ozone becomes a ozone hole in the at that height on the 25 kilometer above. So it is the ozone hole which was of the concern. So when the CFCs were discovered in 1930s as synthetic refrigerants, it was a lot of excitement. And then in 70s it was found that it is going to it is reacting with the ozone and it is causing their ozone depletion. So that was a great concern. All the countries met together, made a treaty, Montreal Protocol in 87. This is a well-known treaty, Montreal Protocol Treaty 1987. So that treaty, so I've already talked about that chlorine atom attacks ozone molecule and a chain of reaction is formed, and which makes it means thousands and millions of ozone molecules get converted into oxygen and hole is created. So Montreal Protocol Treaty was signed in 1987 by countries. They met, they discussed, and they said we should decide on some action. And the action was to gradually give up the CFC use and find out new synthetic chemicals which are safe, which are safer to ozone. So by 2010 was the target from 87 to 2010 to completely fade out all CFCs use in the refrigeration throughout the world. So all country, India also signed it. When I was in the Ministry of Science and Technology, I was associated with this program also in a way. So India agreed to sign the treaty, and India took action also in changing from CFCs to new chemicals. Now new chemicals which were developed were hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Now you see it is having hydrogen, chlorine, fluorine and carbon. Hydrogen was added. But they were found, they are a group of chemicals, not one. That's why we put S every time. It's not one hydro, but there are number of variants. So this was found very good. It was only 10% potential of ozone depletion. So means 90% can be saved. But very soon it was found that this material is not so safe because it has a high global warming potential, higher than CFCs. CFCs are also a greenhouse gas. I think if you know of greenhouse gas, CFC is one of them, but it's a very low global warming potential, but it's still there. And this one has higher global warming potential, so it became a crisis. Again, a new agreement of Kigali was signed about 3-4 years back, few years back, where it was decided that HCFCs will also be faded from the refrigeration industry. And when we talk of refrigeration, all the sectors of economy like industry, commercial, building, the transport, vehicles, household, everything is affected. So everyone has to take action. It's not that at one place. Household refrigeration is everyone uses, so everyone has to replace the refrigerator. So finally, the material which was developed is hydrofluorocarbon. Now there is no chlorine. It has only hydrogen, fluorine and carbon. So this group of materials, there are two materials which has zero ODP, मतलब zero ozone depletion and very low global warming. So they are find the best, like HFC 32 and HFC 152. These are the exotic names given to this which are found suitable. Now, what point I am coming to it, that recently India has launched a cooling action plan. Now, what is this cooling action plan and what was the need? The thing was that it was realized that there are almost 50 or more than 50% population lives in hot countries, Asia, Africa and all this region, and that their cooling needs are going to grow. Because as the people living status becomes better, they want to have a refrigeration, cooling of the homes, cooling of the house. The requirement for cooling energy will grow, and that will further produce more of the carbon dioxide and climate change, global warming. So this program of cooling action was launched in late 2008 for reducing the cooling energy demand to meet the cooling requirement to the same level as we need. I mean, not that we reduce the demand, the cooling requirement, but we reduce the energy consumption. That is scientifically how we do it. So all buildings, every sector has to take action to work towards its success, to make it a successful story. So I'm just coming to this last part of it. Now we are back to CO2, carbon dioxide. Now carbon dioxide is a natural refrigerant. From natural, which was being used, it was patented in 1850, as way back as 1850. And carbon dioxide was natural, but gradually when the CFCs were developed, its use faded away in 1940s onwards, and synthetic took over. So now we are again thinking in terms of using CO2 and other natural like ammonia, things which are not polymeric long staying chemicals. They are simple molecules. So this I think I can skip. Basically, carbon dioxide is also gives us the information in the ice cores about the past temperatures, and that's how we say we are having global warming today. And these are the 4 spikes which have been seen. Up to 1 million year data is available now, back in the past history, where CO2 in the ice cores was high, and that was the also the period of history where temperatures were high. And the CO2 is also unique properties, CO2 carbon dioxide, which is in the atmosphere, which is causing global warming also. But CO2 ice, I think many of you must have heard CO2 ice, which is called dry ice. We use it for experiment. I have used in IIT when I was researcher, that it goes minus 78 degree centigrade, it becomes ice, carbon dioxide, and you can use for low temperature research if you want to. So it is now the global cooling prize is been an incentive given for this initiative to give a development of residential cooling solutions that will at least 5 times less climate impact, means that will use 5 times less energy, or it will use a material like in a way, the process in a way that its emissions are 5 times less, CO2 equivalent emissions 5 times less in the refrigeration industry. So this is a global cooling prize which has been announced for $3 million. India is part of it. So this is what I thought. The chemistry is the behind it totally. And I wanted to share. Lastly, I want to share, acknowledge the Royal Society of Chemistry for its this project for in which you are having this teachers training program. We have teachers from almost 15 schools and also executives who will be attending it, registered. And the teachers will be introduced to proven active learning techniques that can be applied in chemistry and help students, and also they can use them in their lessons. So hope you find them useful. We also acknowledge Oil and Natural Gas Commission, the Maharatna Company of Energy Sector, which are also sponsoring this program, and the Climate Change Research Institute, which is the organizer. It has the mandate to become a center for excellence in the education and for environment and climate change. So we are engaged in various activities related to that. And some of the activity areas are awareness workshops, capacity buildings, training workshops. Also, we talk of SDGs and also knowledge networking and science policy research. So we, you can see the various programs which has been conducted in past with the students also from schools. And we have introduced this environment and earth care lecture series, which is for school students and college students. And we also bring out a climate science and research bulletin on emerging topics for sharing the information dissemination. Now, this is an exotic name, Climate SAR. SAR is in Hindi SAR, that is the summary, and in English it is the abbreviation of science and research. So the name is like that. So we have one here for COP24. And so finally, I would like to just